All right, everybody, let us say hello to the head coach for one, Ciryl Gane, the man who will be fighting Jon Jones for the vacant UFC heavyweight title March 4th, UFC 285. Fernand Lopez, kind enough to join us a little less than 2 weeks before this big fight and big event. Fernand, thank you, sir. How are you? That hat is spectacular.
I thought that I could go that, the Peaky Blinders style. That's why. I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I could never pull that hat off, so kudos to you. But I want to go back to last month when all this happened, because everybody saw that billboard in front of T-Mobile Arena, support this fight essentially, and then people just went crazy wondering if it was true, how it all happened. And then Dana White, after a fight night event at the Apex, goes up to the podium, announces that Francis was stripped of the belt. He's leaving the UFC, and then Ciryl and Jon will fight for the vacant belt. And you're also there with Nasruddin Imavov for his fight, which got shaken up that week. What was that week like for you as a coach and as a manager? That like one of the craziest weeks of your career?
Absolutely insane. But it's like when you're chasing a dream, at some point you connect with the reality, and you're like between dream and reality. That's why I wasn't that surprised, because I've been working on that with my team, with a management factory. We've been working on that very long time. I mean, like since the fight of UFC Paris, as soon as Ciryl Gane won the fight, I text Ante and say to him, I know that the decision that you told me that the priority for you was to book the fight against Francis, but I just want to let you know, if there's anything that goes wrong, where you are here, we won't have that fight, and we believe that the narration of Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones is very good one, but there's also the another narration where Ciryl can just upset everyone and shock the world, and we won't take that chance. And since then, I've been poking him every time. I mean, like every time that I have a chance to poke him, I will be like, okay, so what it is? What are you doing? What are we wearing? Let's go. I mean, Ciryl is okay. He's ready to go for that fight, and so when we decided to, when I was going to coach Nasruddin, Ciryl said, "Hey, coach, you know that I'm in the corner. I want to coach Nasruddin like always." And I said, "Okay, let's have one son for two birds. I mean, let's just go there and then have an appointment with the guys in the headquarters." So I called them, and I set up a meeting. And the day before, I asked Ciryl to check about Jon Jones on Twitter and try to ask him where is that. I mean, what do you want to do? And yeah, that's how everything went. And we went there, and that was like, wow, you got being bursting. And he was saying to Ciryl, "Your manager is killing me. He's poking me every time, you know." And so yeah, then we just went back to the hotel. We had like maybe, let's say, 90% of chance that happened, but we didn't really believe that would happen that weekend or whatsoever. So I had the call that it's okay. I mean, Enter said to me, text me and said to me, "We have a deal. It's done." And I didn't even have time. That's crazy. I didn't even have time to announce that to Ciryl. Ciryl was in his room, and from the room, he had in front of him the T-Mobile Arena, and he said, "Shoot, I just saw something." And his brother said, "Yes, I saw something like Gane on some billboard." But there was Tony, and then we had another image, and I was in my room that was with them, and they keep checking, keep looking, and then they're like, "Oh shit, yeah, there it is," and that was the poster. And then they would start to ring me, run in my room. "What's going on? Is that correct? Is that accurate?" I'm like, "Yes, it is," and that's it.
That's amazing. So obviously with this being done, it meant that Francis was leaving the promotion and was no longer the champion. Were you, didn't seem like you were surprised that this happened because you were already planting the seeds for it in case something did happen. But once it was ultimately decided that Francis and the UFC were parting ways, were you surprised by that ultimately, or did you kind of see it coming?
I mean, I thought that that was the only way that will end. I didn't see how they can agree. I didn't see how they can match. Every time that you have any promotion, big promotion, including boxing, and you ask them any contract, anything, they will ask you exclusivity. One of the first things that they ask you is exclusivity, and we know that Francis has been vocal saying that he won boxing, and I thought that they will. He had a chance to go in the end till the end of the contract without having signing any other contract. That's just perfect for him to test the market. So I thought, yeah, he would probably go out, test the market, and then come back to the MMA at some point. So I wasn't surprised at all, and that's why I was fighting to do not let the opportunity to steep it, because the narration was, first of all, Jon Jones, Francis, and maybe Jon Jones steep it, and I was like, oh, hold on, this guy Ciryl is the number one. I mean, like he he lose that fight against Francis, but we still have a lot of media out there talking about the fifth round, who was on that play run for Francis. So this guy is legit. He fought the one who's killing everyone in the division, knocking them out. How can you just bypass him and go back to Stipe? And that's why I was poking the UFC every time, like, come on, guys. This guy, I mean, he's not vocal, but he's legit. Uh, he's very talented. He shows that he's talented. How many people would have resist to people that are just talking about wrestling, but think about the power that Ciryl Francis possesses. When he lock on you a body lock, when he lock on you something, how can you move? How many guys can try him around him, guillotine, heel hook, everything that he attempt to do on Francis? How many guys can sweep the guy? I mean, like in the fifth round, he hit a takedown, single leg, clean one, timing, perfect one. And then he dropped him with a sort of tripod like he was attacking the leg and then tripod him, make him fall down. Come on, this is good. I mean, like he got dominated and grappling by the position, but he didn't look that bad. He didn't look that lost in the process. He looked exhausted because of the two first round where Francis weighed him down on the fence. So my position was like, this guy deserves a shot again because he's legit. He just fought very close fight with the champ, one of the best, if not the best, in the heavyweight division.
So, I mean, I'm fascinated by all the angles of this fight, especially the coaching aspect from your end, because Jon's making his heavyweight debut. He hasn't fought in over 3 years. You've seen his body change. You see little clips on social media of him hitting pads and doing certain things, but he's kind of a mystery right now. So how do you game plan for Jon, who arguably is the greatest fighter of all time? Do you go back to his last few fights at 205, or do you have to sort of prepare for a whole different guy altogether?
Well, how do you do that? You just focus on your guy. The reality is that no matter what you try to assume or what you try to guess, Jon Jones is, for me, the best and the greatest of all time in MMA. No matter what you try to say to me. What I'm saying here is that I'm expecting to have the best Jon Jones we ever had, because Jon Jones is someone cerebral, is someone that think a lot, that process a lot with the brain. He have the fight IQ is out of the roof. So what I'm saying is that the 3 years layoff For a smart guy, it's not a problem because he's watching fight on TV. He's listening and talking with coaches. He's brain processing around and checking the division, seeing how the thing evolving. He's working a lot with, he don't need the kinesthetic part. He will work with the vision part. He will work with the audition part, and he can develop. So I trust him on that. I'm expecting to have the Jon Jones that we had in the second fight with DC, the one on point on every aspect of fight. So I prefer to have this vision of Jon Jones. So if he come there and is lazy or is less good than that, then good for us. But I just want think that it will be the worst, the violent one, the very technical and intelligent guy that we are in the fight. And I just want to focus on Ciryl Gane. Ciryl is something. People, they keep thinking that is when we speak about Ciryl, it's kind of overrated, but Ciryl is something different. Whenever you have a guy that have mobility and size, is almost unfair. He's dangerous. He's huge. He's heavy, and he can hit hard. So we spend our time to focus on what he can do to Jon Jones, what Jon Jones can do to him. Because then we spend your time to be on the defensive mode. I don't want to be on the defensive mode with Jon Jones. You cannot let Jon Jones in the defensive mode. We need to be there. Ciryl Gane need to take over. He need to come there, God blazing. He need to come there very sharp and try to hurt him. That's what he have to do. He want to let know. He need to let know, and that's what he want to do. Ciryl said, "I want to be the first guy to stop Jon Jones." I mean, like, he's a huge fighter. He's the best fighter. That let's stop this guy. Let's just be the first to beat him clean. That will not be easy. That's not an easy task. Jon Jones is something that if you try to count the last trio that he fought in the light heavyweight division, you will be wrong, because then you have a guy that was lack of motivation and he didn't shows up. But don't make mistake on that. This guy, when you check fight by fight, he get barely touched. He's very dangerous. He's kind of unbeaten. To be honest with you, I see them like, this fight is very interesting because to have a great fight, you need to have a lot of questions on the table. So you have, how about the 3-year layoff? How about the weight carry? But the other side, you have to wondering how Ciryl will deal with the fact that he's fighting someone with that much experience 14 times for a title, when this is only the third time that Ciryl is fighting for a title. When when Jon Jones became champion in the UFC, Ciryl Gane didn't even know the existence of MMA whatsoever. So when you take that, you don't know what will happen. And that's what I'm very excited with the fight. But at the same time, I need, on my side, to focus on what the skills of Ciryl. Ciryl, I've been blessed with set of skills that can make him the nightmare of guy like Jon Jones. And that's what we're preparing.
So, I mean, there's a lot of talk about like the wrestling versus the striking and all that. And again, you're preparing Ciryl for what he's going to bring to the cage. So I'm sure you're thinking about that, obviously. But I did want to ask about a certain thing, because Ciryl did an interview recently and he said some things that people kind of reacted to. Let me pull it up right now. I love grappling, but unfortunately, I'm lazy. That's the truth. I only train when a fight is announced. I have a lot of media obligations, professional opportunities outside of the sport. You can't say no to all these things. I also have to give time to my family and rest well. If I look back at my career, this is a regret. I only train when a fight is announced. I had my fight against Tuivasa, barely trained since then, and now I'm back at it since the Jones fight. has been announced. So your reaction to that, or is there anything you wanted to clarify from that? Because, I mean, like you said, he's a big, huge guy. It doesn't seem like he's sitting around doing nothing.
Well, what I want to clarify is that he said on that sentence, that's something that I regret. I told you, I've been telling that before. Ciryl is a lazy guy. But now I'm saying that Ciryl was a lazy guy. After the fight of Francis, we went back straight away to the training, and we started training. After the fight against Derrick Lewis, he got hurt on the hand, but as soon as the doctor gave the authorization of start training, we started the camp with him. Matter of fact, when we went in Nasruddin fight in Vegas, we brought a guy with us whose name is Reda Meptouche, one of the best grappler we ever had in France, that was in corner. Why we brought this guy on with us in Vegas? That was only because I need someone to follow us and to help me to keep training Ciryl every time. Like, Ciryl is what he's saying is that before, he was the lazy guy that was just training. And that's what I love with my relationship with him, is that we sat down after the fight with Francis and we thought about all these things. And we started to speak, and we was working through on the conditioning, mental conditioning. And I was saying that my regret is that you have to keep in mind that the development only happens when we don't have a date. Whenever you have a date, all the focus, you turn all your gun on the opponent instead of developing all the aspects. So what I'm saying is that since the loss that we got with Francis, everything was back in order. And I know that now what he tried to say is that he's very talented on the grappling. He loved the movement of the grappling. Like, we brought a guy, Devontae. The name is, his nickname is Bones BGG, because of, it's very good. He had the length very long, like Jon Jones. At the same time, he's world champion in BGG. He's from US, and he will be with us in US anyway for the camp following. And this guy was like, whoa, I didn't know that Ciryl loved that much grappling. He's always tried to roll around, going for the heel hook, the banana split, the sweep, the twister, the electric chair, all the big moves that we know. But yeah, there's lack of fundamental when he can hit so many great moves because he loves the ground. But at the same time, what he regrets is that if he have keep busy that long time ago when he started, he would have been right now maybe brown belt on BGG, because he's very talented. Like, you can teach something to someone, you don't even understand the direction, the size, or where is it. Ciryl catch it very quick. Very quick. You shoot one move and he can catch it. You shoot one position, he can catch it. And because of that, it's going so fast that now he's regretting. He's like, damn, I was like, when the fight is over, I stopped training. And now I'm like, wow, I should have stayed busy so I can have that. Other thing that I want to clarify, what he's saying is that there's no surprise. You know that the camp start 6-7 weeks before the fight. We all know when the fight was official. That was when Dana White said the fight was official. That was 6 weeks or 7 weeks before the fight. So there's no surprise when Ciryl is saying, I would have preferred train 3 months, 4 months, instead of only train like 7 weeks. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying, that he's not trying to have an excuse saying that, well, if I don't win the fight, it's because I didn't have enough of time to train. No, that's not the mentality of Ciryl. What he's saying here is to say that even for Jon Jones. Jon Jones spent all his time preparing for Francis Ngannou. Now they announce him that he will be fighting a different guy. This is a kid that brought the new standard of heavyweight movement and striking. And then you will fight him, face him, and you have only 6 weeks to prepare against him and find a good sparring partner that can imitate Ciryl. It's not easy to do that. That's what Ciryl was saying. It's not saying that, well, I sucks, I didn't train enough. There's people try to take things with a lot of serious and very very hard on internet.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you, because it didn't sound like a Ciryl thing to say, but I figured what you're saying was more of what he meant. Like back in the day, probably could have done more, but now it's different. I'm zoned in, and now it's like a fight. There's a difference between training and getting ready for a fight. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Like, yeah. And I think that's probably more of what he meant. So, well, I appreciate the insight, Fernand. I know we got to let you go, but thank you so much. The insight was fascinating, especially with this fight and your perspective on it. But I wish you guys the best of luck March 4th. I'll be watching. Fight absolute rules, and I'm incredibly intrigued by it, Fernand. So all the best to you and Ciryl and the rest of the team in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, but you will not go. You will not go with it without giving me your prediction. Come on.
Oh, man, I ain't ready yet. I'm not ready. I'm watching tape. The day before the fight, I will have a prediction. I just don't know. Like, I just don't know. It's such an interesting fight. If Jon can't take Ciryl down, I think Ciryl has a very good night. If Jon does what he typically does with takedowns, Cyryl's going to have a very good night. Jon learned how to wrestle, like shoot doubles out in space, and does it quickly, then I think it's interesting. But absolutely. Jon usually gets his takedowns in the clinch, and that's really not a place you want to be with a guy like Ciryl. So yeah, it's such an interesting fight, and it's the mental part of it that fascinates me the most.
Okay, good. I mean, I just want to put you in the bad spot, so that's why.
I appreciate that, but it's so tough to call right now. It's so tough to call. I feel like a lot of things weigh more in Cyryl's factor, but again, I don't know what we're going to see from Jon because it's been so long. I have no idea. So yeah, I'm intrigued by it all. But thank you so much. I appreciate you putting me on the spot. I like that.
Thank you, Mike. Anyway, thank you to have me on your how to say this podcast or whatever. And thank you, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.
You're the man. Thank you.